Hi everyone, welcome back to this series of videos about UAM CorpusTool. In this video I will show you how to tag an essay. I am continuing on from the last video where we created these layers, Ferris First Language and ICLE, and we're going to actually go inside them and do some work. So first let me just show you this really quick. This is off on the side. This was the Word document for the essay, and like I mentioned in the first video, with error analysis it's typical to do a first run through where you identify errors and highlight them or mark them in some way, either with just a pencil or highlighter on paper or on the computer like I did here. Then the next step is to go back through a second pass and be very methodical and categorize each error in some way. So for us, we're going to look at the Ferris categorization. I'm going to open, so to open it using that layer, I'm going to click on that, and I get this screen. And here I made a little bit of a mistake when I created this text file. I should have deleted this top part with the prompt or the topic. I should have only included the words that were from the student, so starting with the title probably. So I will leave that since this is just for demonstration, but I just wanted to point that out. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to show you how to use the, actually, let me step back for a minute, close this. I'm going to do this one first, the first language. If you recall, when we set these layers up, this was a whole document layer, so it has information that applies to the entire file rather than to tagging little pieces of text. So here I would record the student's first language, so I'm just going to guess and put Chinese, and that's really all there is to it. If there were more things to pick, it would show in this middle screen. You can have layers for different kinds of information, like the class the student is in, the country that they're from, maybe the teacher that they have, as many things as you want to keep track of that apply to the entire file. So I'm going to click yes, save, and then this changes color to let me know that I did some work there. Now I'm going to click the Ferris tag scheme here and just start tagging. Basically, the first area here that had an error was here. There were a lot of technology. This could be fixed in different ways. I could tell the student that it should have been there was a lot of technology, or I could say it should be there were a lot of technologies. I'm going to go with that just because this is plural and then this here also afterwards. Some of this is subjective and requires a little bit of a judgment call, I suppose. So I'll drag that back out of the way, and I'm going to... This program is a little bit finicky with the selection. Right there I clicked accidentally in the screen and it started to create something. I'm going to delete that because I didn't really mean to click there. To select the text, you just drag with your mouse. So hold down the left mouse button and drag. So I'm going to choose that. And this should be plural to match the were. So in this particular scheme, that would go under noun ending errors, and I double click it to make it go over here, and now I'm done. If this were a more complicated taxonomy with branching categories, like maybe different types of noun ending errors, then there would be some more choices and I would have to pick more. And then I can type in a correction here. Technologies. And then I will just keep going through like that. One other thing, if there's more than one person working on it, or even if just for yourself, it's really helpful to put in a gloss, which is basically kind of like reminders of what you're doing. So I'm going to do that just for one. I'll save and move this out of the way. Then I'm going back into my layers screen and going back into Ferris edit scheme. And let's just say for verb errors, I want to add a gloss. So I click it and then I click add gloss. And then I'm just going to type the description from the book, which I have a hard copy here, but maybe I'm working in the library and I wouldn't have this with me. Verb tense or form, including relevant subject, verb, terms. And then that will appear whenever I'm tagging as a clue or a tip. So let me go back into the file screen and go back into the Ferris layer. And then I basically just keep going with the same process. So invented, I'm going to call that a verb error. And oops, let me do that more slowly. If I double click over here, it kind of goes backwards. So I can change my mind. Or here you can see the gloss shows up now, telling me what that is. And I also made a mistake here. I should drag over the whole word. So I'll fix that, and then that. So I'm going to type in a correction of were invented. And I could put comments here to the student. I might do that on one of the later examples. Here, okay, the next thing, I'm going to take this. It sounds a little funny to have and there because of the etc. If it just said they were a computer, comma, TV, comma, typewriter, etc. So an extraneous or extra word in this taxonomy goes under sentence structure errors, and I won't type a correction because, or actually no, I take that back. I will put a comma as the correction. Then moving on to car is one of the technology. So you can, in English, to make a general statement about a type of noun, you can either say the car or make it plural. A suggestion with error analysis is to try to make your correction as the least invasive correction possible. So here I'm just going to make it an article error. One thing about this program, it doesn't let you select an empty space as a thing to tag. The older version did let you do that, but this one does not. So if you have a missing article or a missing preposition or anything missing, you have to pick something on either side of it to select. So I select a car, and I'm going to put the car. And then I'm going to do technology should be plural. So in this particular scheme, it should be noun ending errors, and I'll make it plural. And then it has affected my life because as the student keeps going, they're referring many times to cars as a general category, and it is a little awkward to keep saying the car, the car, the car. So I'm going to make this plural and add a note to the student, just that when you speak in general by a category, make it plural. Okay, and then in error analysis, again, you generally try to avoid double penalizing a student, and also just double marking things for research purposes. So I'm not going to say was is an error because it does not match cars, but it did match what the student originally had in here. So I'm going to leave that alone. And then unsafety here would be a wrong word error, so I'll double click that and just put, and see I didn't quite, oops. Here's where the clicking can be a little bit fussy. Okay, I'll call that unsafe. So I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to show the basic process, but you would continue on and finish the essay and just mark whatever you believe to be an error and what the correction is. So I'm going to save and then just show you two things in the screen that are useful for teachers. I should be honest about this program. It is free, which is wonderful. There are some quirks or little things that don't quite work right, and most of them are easy to work around, but they do show up in the program. So one of them is this. If you go to coding and then show corrected text, this was something really cool on the old version, version 2, that worked, and for some reason it stopped working on this version. But basically it would show you the essay with all your corrections incorporated, so you could kind of read it through and see if it flowed well and if it sounded good, just as a cohesive view rather than seeing the corrections in the little separate box, so that before you gave it to a student you could kind of view it, I suppose. And I found that really helpful, and I apologize it doesn't work here. Hopefully in a future version it will work again. Another really useful thing is this, under coding again, save student feedback. So that takes you to this screen, and it basically creates a web page that you could then send to the student. The only quirk here is that if you try to change the generic name, it gets confused. So I'm just going to show you how to work around that really quick, because usually you would want to give it a more specific name, like the name of the student or the assignment or whatever. So I'm going to add a name here. So it's going to get confused, and I'll show you how to fix it. It's not a big deal. I click Save. It comes up with this screen. Just to make it happy, click Internet Explorer, click OK. It comes up with this, just close it. And that's fine. Now go to your Windows Explorer area or if you're on a Mac, go to the Finder. And then if you see it did save the file, but it somehow lost the extension. So all you have to do is kind of click it so that you get inside the name and type the extension, HTML, and then it's fine. And I don't know why this happens, but as long as you know that. Now, if I double click it, it'll open, and it's a web page for, because my screen is so tiny, you can't see the whole thing, but it basically highlights the errors in red, and if you hover with your mouse, it shows like your technologies. It shows the correction, the type of error, and then it also tells the student if you had given them any comments. Like I thought I typed a comment. Here, it'll show you the comment that you typed for them. So I wanted to show you the Dana Ferris scheme because it's pretty straightforward, but you can make this much more detailed. And let me just show you that really quickly. And then, so say you had a grammar textbook that had, 15 chapters. You can make an error category for each chapter, and then you could have subcategories for the topics covered. And then these comments might have page numbers for the student to refer to help them figure out what's wrong. So you can do whatever works best for your situation. I'm going to close this now. Save it and close it. Oops, sorry, I'm clicking the wrong thing. I'm just going to close this, and I had already saved my tagging. Now if I click the ICLE, so the International Corpus of Learner English, just to show you what it would look like. If I go to that same mistake here, technology, I'm not really familiar with these categories, so I would want to read up the documentation and make sure I knew what I was doing, but so I'm not sure if this would be considered like a word level error or a form error. I'm just going to click this for, okay, and then morphology. Actually, that's probably not right. Let me go back. So if I want to go back, I double click over here to return. I'm going to click grammar, and then nouns, noun number. So there you can just see how if there's branching categories in the scheme, it keeps filling this middle box with more stuff. Then you have to keep choosing until it's empty to kind of finish the process. So there's that. I'm not going to save that because I was just experimenting. So there we are back at the screen, the main screen. So I'm going to stop there for this video, but in the next video I will show you the statistics area, which is where you get to start counting and performing analysis on your work. So basically your workflow, you would, however many essays you had, you would just finish that, finish the tagging step, and then that could take, you know, a little bit of time depending how much you have. And then the statistics screen is kind of the fun part where you get to start playing with the data, I guess. So for that part, I will switch to my own thesis project, which had more to work with. This is not really enough to do much with. So in the next video, I will show you that. I hope this is helpful. Thank you again for listening, and hopefully you'll stick around for video number 4. Thank you.